All right, my box of onions came in the mail today. It was a day later than they were supposed to through the United States Postal Service. They are probably going to be just fine, but there is definitely slime rot going on. I don't know where they came from before they get to Haas, but it looks like, it's probably a very fast process. They come into Haas, Haas turns them right around, and on Monday they sent them right back out. But that's not good. But I know they packed more than I did. 2 sets of 50. So really, what start again. This type is the 1015Y onion, but this is absolutely disgusting. I'm not real thrilled with that. I know the Haas people wouldn't be happy with that. The Postal Service kept them an extra day. Jacksonville to Orlando is only like an hour and 15-minute drive, maybe, give or take like 10 extra minutes. It's not that long of a drive, but they sat either in Jacksonville, I think that's, and then they got to Orlando, and then it was like a day and a half, and then they got put on a truck yesterday. According to them, they were on a truck yesterday, supposed to be delivered by 9 p.m., but they're definitely not. They didn't get delivered. And besides all that, I'm just going to let these dry. So they either stayed extra, I think they stayed extra in Orlando. And either they made the truck or didn't make the truck. I know my mail lady is fantastic, and so if they were on her truck, she would have got them to me unless somebody was filling in for her. But they probably would have been okay. I don't know. I've ordered from Haas before, and it only takes like 2 days for everything to get from their facility to my front door normally. But this is, so they shipped Monday, and this is Friday, and I don't know, it'll probably be okay, but they're going to be in some serious shock. I don't know how long it's going to take for them to transplant, and start taking off. But they're beautiful as far as, like, they're the pencil size. And Haas says that the roots aren't really worth much because you can cut them off and they'll still grow. I'm just concerned because the tops are right there on the edge of dying. Some of them did, but, like had a leaf or two die. Like that. That's gross. Did you see that? Ugh. But, they pulled me out of a situation. I was afraid I was going to lose my onions to Hurricane Helene. And while I didn't quite lose them to like flooding issues, I did lose them nonetheless. The ones that were on the ground, thank goodness I had spares on the table. So my onions on the table have been in the ground a week to 2 weeks. And then our locals had onions, and I bought at least 100. Well, I'm thinking about 100 from them. That's sort of a loose number. I'm not real sure of. I didn't count every one, but there was at least this many. But they were a little bit more on the smaller side, like this one. But they were in great shape. So anyhow, hopefully it'll all be good, right? We'll hope for the best. All right, you guys. So it has been, let's see, I think they arrived Friday. Yep. And then Saturday, Sunday, Monday. It's been a solid 3 days since they arrived. They have dried out nicely. Yeah. And I'm just going to put them in the box real quick. And we're going to head, oh man, were they dirty? They came from like a clay type soil, because clay went everywhere, and it also went in my house. So open your boxes outside if you get some of these. Uh-oh. the dogs smell the trap set. Yes, I'm babysitting my grand dog for the holidays. So here we are. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, a Granix hybrid. That's what we got going on right here. And that's in this row. I have a lot of the reds are starting to finally show color up real nicely. I do have some leeks, and some of the whites are in here. I think the plethora, man, they keep dying this year. I don't know what is going on. I have like 5 or 6 plethora left. Oh, and maybe those 3 down there. Okay, maybe I have like 10 or less of the plethora. So anyhow, so the second half of this is going to be designated for the 1015Ys in the back section there. And then just we'll plug in wherever we got to. If we have to, we'll clear spots somewhere up front. But I'm trying to keep them all in one spot so I don't forget about them, you know. That's the hardest part, is don't forget about your onions. Because you got to fertilize them like every other week and weed all the time. So this morning I spent like 10-15 minutes in here weeding. And it went very quickly, and it looks so much better. There's still a couple I see back there, but you know, it's so much easier now that I don't have to weed all 4 gardens at the same time. Okay, so I'm gonna put you on time lapse and we're gonna go for it. So I'll link to the Haas video, but essentially you just put in the bottom like inch of your onions and go for that. So I have right here a little pencil that's not really worth it much. So what I'm gonna do is this got a dried out end with an eraser. So I'm gonna put a little mark right here, and we're just gonna pop and go. So I'll show you the first 1 or 2. So let's see. Let's go right about here. So we're gonna pop. I hope you saw that. Let me do it again. Pop right there to the marker, and then grab some. Hold on, I didn't separate them first, and drop them in. That's it. And we're gonna go every 6 inches. Pop a hole, pop and drop. How about that? That sounds really catchy and memorable. Okay, let's keep doing it. Okay, and then when you're also done, he said not to worry about the roots. The roots will probably dry off anyhow. Die off, not dry off. Die off, and then they just replace with new roots anyhow. I'm gonna go down this whole row. Okay, you guys, it is the next day after I planted all the onions. Not all the onions, just the last set of onions. And yeah, I'm pretty pleased with what's going on here. I apologize, it's pretty bright sun at the moment. So back about this section and a little bit back there, and then I plugged in a couple spots up here. Forgive my shadow. These are the Texas Super Sweet 1015Ys, and they are just slightly yellow, but I am really impressed with that they're pretty good size. If you see a little bit more greener, darker ones down here, those are the Granix hybrids. And so so I should have told you, so these are going to be the squatty yellow ones for the most part, what's in here. And then the super sweet Texas 1015Ys are globes. And then there's the leeks, and then up here there's a couple phantom whites in here, but I went ahead and sowed more seed. So hopefully they're not popped up yet. No, they're not up. So we're gonna just see what grows, and I might use them as green onions or bunching onions. Over here, I'm gonna try to see if you can see this in the shade. So I did plug in a couple more. I had a couple miscellaneous, but they're also mixed in here with plethora. So if you see the ones a little bit more yellow, those are the super sweet 1015Ys. And then down here, there's a little bit more plethora. And then there's a couple more super sweets. And then starts our red Chiantis. So that, for the most part, they're okay. They're just a little small. And that could be the heat or whatever, but they're in here and they're growing, and we're going to consider it all good, everything. I'll just keep weeding a little bit every day. I'll just keep fertilizing every other week. And at this point, right this minute, this morning, I went ahead and threw a little fish emulsion on everybody just to pull those guys out of the slump of being in a box for 5 days and then on the table for another 2 or 3 days. And then I think they're, yeah, because I mean, you got to count half of yesterday because I didn't get them in the ground till like 5 p.m. Sun was setting, and that's why the lighting was a little low there. But okay, so we'll just pull them on the slump, and then we'll put them on the rotation every other week. It can be every 3 weeks too, or anytime before, or rain is also a real good time to put them in, the fertilizer in. So I'm using ammonium sulfate then, and I saw that Greg Key from Haas, he changed it up a little bit at the end. He said, I think we go to a calcium nitrate at the end now, that they found that puts a better skin on them for longer storage. I'm hoping to pull them about April or May, depending on size, and then I hope they'll go inside, less humidity, less heat, and I put them in those little mesh bags, and you know, I hope I get them up until October-ish or so, maybe November, to pull from and eat off of. So while we can't store onions year-round in Florida unless you have a really nice cold storage or something, which I don't. I mean, I just have my rooms and closets, and I can, if they're going downhill, you can cut them up and freeze them and preserve them that way. That's always an option. I'm still pulling off of bags of onions. I had to buy, I bought like 50-pound bag of onions earlier this year, and last season, and just cut them up in rings or diced or whatever, and I threw them in the freezer, and we've been eating off of those. So I can always do that with these as well, if I care to preserve them that way, or if you have a freeze dryer, you can freeze dry them too. So, hey you guys, I want to interrupt the ending of this video because that was actually made about a week ago, and I had every intention of editing it and getting it out Tuesday or Wednesday to you before Thanksgiving, and that just didn't happen. And maybe sometimes we have to see that as God opening a door for something else. It wasn't that, you know, there's not always a spiritual message to everything, but some things are divine appointments, right? And I have been watching over the last 5 days, I think, or 6 days since I made the ending of the video, and watching so many of people who ordered from Haas, and even a couple from Dixondale, but mostly I'm talking to the Haas people because I recommended Haas, and I was a little disappointed, but I am seeing that a lot of people are disappointed in their orders from Haas. And so I want to give you a 1 week after they've been in the ground update. And then I also want to say that I hope it's going to be okay for your onions. I mean, there's not just a few. There's a lot of people on the Row by Row Facebook page, and then I see on Instagram, and I'm seeing a couple or a few of them in my own comments section, and they're talking about how, I mean, they just received slime and rotted onions, and that's not cool. That's not good. Now Haas is doing everything they can to make it good, which they're a great, honorable company. Some of it, like in my case, they came a day late, and that was all on the post office service. But you gotta wonder, when so many are slimed like that, it can't just be like my handlers coming to Florida. If it's going across the whole country like that, then perhaps there was just like they shipped them hot. They didn't let them dry. Something like that must have gone on. And so I'm hoping when I watch the Row by Row garden show this week that I'm gonna see some sort of explanation, and maybe even perhaps we're gonna change, policy changes on how we're gonna handle our onions next year. Otherwise, I just can't recommend them. And I'm always going to sow my own seeds, but for those of you who don't have time, and it is a difficult thing sometimes, I don't even always get it correct, or I have, hurricanes, things like that, critters, things that happen, they dry up because I start early. I may back that off this coming 2025 season. I may just back that off just a couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks, and get us out of the extreme heats. And, I don't know. We'll address that in the future in a totally different video, but I am considering it right now at this point. Let me show you these onions that came in from Haas, okay? Now, these guys were already in. These were from, I have all sorts of things going on with onions. These came in from my local store, and I popped them in the ground. These are my Granex ones. Let's come all the way to the end where the Haas ones are. Here's the Haas tag, okay? See, they do have burnt tips a little bit. They were yellow, but they're coming back. They're standing up. That's all good. I let them dry out for like 3 days to get rid of the slime, and then after that I put them in the ground. The next morning, I hit them with a fish emulsion fertilizer, and I think it was like at 3/4 strength. It wasn't half, it wasn't full, it was somewhere in the middle. And just trying to pop some nitrogen into them immediately, and that is also you can do it as a foliar or as a ground fertilizer. So, just spraying around the whole area, I was hoping that would work. And then about 3 days after that, I put in, right here, you can see it, the ammonium sulfate. So I didn't want to overload them with nitrogen right away, but I did want them to, not sit in a state of shock. And so that's, I think part of why they're coming back kind of nicely at this point. This is also another group of them. Again, the tips are gone, but I'm not going to worry about that. And look, this looks to be like new growth, new growth, new growth. I'm showing you everything. I'm showing you from the moment they came out of the box to a week after being in the ground, which has now been like probably 2 weeks since I unboxed it, if not more. I'll look at those dates specifically because I don't have them in my head right now. But they're coming along. They're fine. They're going to be fine. Most of y'all's will be fine. I'm still disappointed. And the product, they were large. I was pleasantly surprised that they were really nice and large. I'm going to get in the shade here. But the slime, I felt, was mostly preventable. And I don't remember coming that way from Dixondale before, although I have footage somewhere of that too. I think they were slightly smaller. But that was years ago. I don't know. You guys going to have to decide this for you, your own self, your needs, your own garden sizes, for the 2025 year. How did Haas treat you in the customer service if you had to have them replaced? mine did, they spent an extra day in the box, but they didn't need replacing, and they're going to come out of this just fine in the end. But I thought it was worth putting a few extra minutes on this video to address that, since I saw so many of you just, and some of them will never see this video, but I just want to address it all because maybe you've seen those comments too. So anyhow, with that said, it's going to be okay. I just took a deep breath. I saw that I was not alone in this. It was mostly a shipping issue, and or perhaps a preparation issue, and I just let them dry for, I think it was 3 days, and I could have just gone the next day, but it fell with a weekend. I got them open on a Friday, so I just waited till the Monday and put them in. So anyhow, you guys, and that was a week ago, not 5 days ago. Yeah, a week. So you guys, with that said, it's going to be okay. All right. Take care. God bless. And I'll see you in the next video.